I'm 22 years old, and going to college is straight up the biggest regret I have ever had in my life. I wasted basically 4 years going in and out of school, taking breaks, saying, oh, I'm going to do this, switching majors, saying, oh, college isn't for me and I want to do this instead. I wasted so much time, 4 years of my life that I could have been working my job right now. The job I have right now is a firefighter. It did not require a college degree, and I could have gotten that job at 18 years old, been making a 60K plus salary right out the gate. And if I had done that instead of wasting these 4 years, I would have over $200,000 saved right now. I could potentially have a house, and I would have just been a lot more financially free, and it would have just been a better path for me to go down. Now, just to give a little bit of background on my situation, I was always the type of kid that hated school. From the as early as I can remember, I hated school. So what I would do to pass time, I would just chit chat, make a bunch of friends, and just be the class clown. I was always getting into trouble. I was always disobeying teachers and just doing a bunch of mischievous stuff and just getting making people laugh, right? Just to make the time pass by quicker. So when I was young, I liked that aspect of school. I liked the social aspect, and I liked, being in the same place with all my friends for 8 hours a day. That was great. But when it came time to actually do the work, I hated it. I found it monotonous, easy, boring, and just pointless, right? I just didn't care about it. I felt like it was all useless, and not to mention the pressure from all my family telling me to, oh, study, do this, do that, you need to become a doctor, lawyer. That just made it even worse, right? When you're a kid and everyone's telling you to do this thing and putting so much importance on it, naturally it's going to make you kind of want to do the opposite, especially if all your friends are doing all these other stuff as well. So I always hated school, and I always had that feeling that school wasn't for me. But I messed up, right? I chose to ignore that feeling. I wasn't strong enough to listen to that gut feeling inside of me. And when it came time, when I graduated high school and it came time to make that decision, I folded. I basically folded. I listened to my parents, I listened to my family, and I went to school, even though I knew it wasn't for me. Even though I hated the idea of school and going to college, I knew it wasn't going to work out. I folded and I just went anyway. So I went to a community school, community college in my local area, and it sucked. I started off doing computer science. I absolutely hated it. As soon as I started coding, I realized, yeah, I can't be doing this. I realized that I cannot really work like just a boring office job where you're sitting behind a screen typing on a computer all day. I need a job where I'm actually out, like doing stuff, working with my hands, talking to other people, working as a team to get certain things done and feel productive about myself. I need a job where I feel like I am directly making an impact and I can see that impact, whether or not I just don't want to be typing behind a screen. And while those people do still make a big impact, and we need those people obviously for our country to survive and for our economy to thrive, it's just a little bit different, right? They're making an impact in a different way than maybe someone, a firefighter or a police officer that's actually in the field, like literally directly making an impact, right? And both have their pros and cons, I get that. But the point is, I always knew it wasn't for me and I ignored it anyways, right? And that's really the mistake. So I went to college anyways, and I ended up dropping out ultimately because of what I basically mentioned before. I always knew it wasn't for me. I couldn't see myself working an office job, and I just felt like everything I was learning was useless and meaningless. So I dropped out and I applied for the fire department. Eventually I got the job, and it basically changed my life. But the point I want to touch on is, not only was it a waste of time, going back and forth and wasting these 4 years in and out of school, the main point I want to touch on is the opportunity cost. What I could have been doing with those 4 years instead. I could have joined the military, could have got all those benefits. I could have joined the fire department at 18 years old, started making 60K plus, could have been saving a bunch of money, could have got a house, and I would have just been a lot further in life by now. Now, by no means am I saying that time was completely wasteful. Obviously, I'm grateful enough to have learned these lessons, but I'm just saying that if you guys have that gut intuition, you have that gut feeling deep down, listen to that feeling, right? You have these feelings for a reason. Don't just ignore them. And I know it can be tough, right? When everyone around you, especially the people that are important to you, the people who love you and raise you, are all telling you to do this one thing, it feels impossible not to do that one thing, right? No matter how hard you don't want to do it, ultimately a lot of people just end up folding like me and choosing that path. And it's one of the toughest decisions, but it's the biggest one that I regret, because the sad thing is, I knew in my heart that it wasn't the right decision, but I still did it anyways. And that just makes me feel like I could have been using those 4 years a lot better. I could have been a lot more productive. And the opportunity of those 4 years, what I could have done, what I could have learned, the opportunity cost of that is infinite, right? Who knows what would have happened if instead of going to college, I just directly worked right out of high school, right? I could have been a lot better off financially, but I could have been a lot worse off mentally. Who knows? But the point is, I just really wish I would have listened to my gut. Obviously, all this stuff is in the past, and it's not too good to worry about the past, but my point is, I was just in such a repetitive cycle of feeling lost and hopeless, right? I imagine knowing that you're going down the wrong path, but every single day still taking steps towards doing that path, right? I knew college was for me, but every single day I was doing college. Every single day I was studying. Every single day I was working my shitty part-time job. I was doing all these steps to advance in something I knew was ultimately worthless. And that feeling was just honestly terrible. It felt like I was just forcing myself to do something I hated, forcing myself to do something that wasn't going to work out. And if you guys are watching this video and you have a similar feeling, listen to that gut intuition, because you don't want to do that. You don't want to force yourself to do something you absolutely despise and force yourself to do something that's not going to work out. It's like forcing yourself to be in a relationship that you know is not going to work out, or that you guys just aren't compatible, right? It's just a waste of time ultimately. And I just really wish I would have listened to that feeling, but I just felt so lost in that time of my life. And it was obviously hard to navigate, and I'm glad that I kind of made it out of that part of my life. But looking back, I just really wish I would have listened to myself, right? Always listen to your gut intuition and just trust yourself, even when it's hard to.